Namaste and a very good morning to all respected dignitaries, scholars, and participants. It is truly an honor to be here at this international conference on Bharatiya Gnan Parampara, the ancient tradition of knowledge. I thank the organizers sincerely for this opportunity to present my paper. Today, I feel privileged to share my reflections on the Acharya Shishya relationship, a timeless paradigm of holistic education, a timeless model of mentorship that is deeply relevant for education even in our present times. On this auspicious occasion of Teachers' Day 2025, I heartfeltly express my wishes to all the educators who continue to enlighten generations with their wisdom and guidance. I am Professor Khadijunisa. I serve as a chairperson of the Equal Opportunity Cell and an associate professor in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering at HKBK College of Engineering, Bengaluru. While my field is technology, I have always been guided by a second passion, that is human values. I strongly believe that education must go beyond technical skills. It must nurture character, compassion, and responsibility. That is why the Acharya Shishya model inspires me so deeply, that why I am delighted to explore its relevance with you today. Now, looking at the roadmap, here is a roadmap of my session. I will begin with the introduction, then move on into the philosophical foundations and pedagogical features of this tradition. I will look at some of the classical examples, consider its modern relevance, and then compare it with global traditions. Finally, I will discuss implementation strategies, challenges, and recommendations before concluding with key takeaways. So, before I start, let me begin with a story. Over 2000 years, a young Chandragupta Maurya sat humbly at the feet of his guru Chanakya, learning not only the strategies of statecraft but values and discipline that would transform him into a visionary leader. Education was not about certificates but about shaping the whole person. Fast forward to today, we have unlimited books, videos, and online resources, but without a personal mentorship, knowledge often lacks direction and ethical grounding. This contrast highlights why the Acharya Shishya bond remains so relevant. In this model, the Acharya is not just a teacher but a mentor and a role model. And the Shishya is not just a student but an active participant in their own growth. The Gurukul system showed how academics were inseparable from life itself. Teacher and student shared meals, chores, and conversations, making learning holistic, intellectual, emotional, and spiritual. The bond was sacred, built on humility, that is Shraddha, and responsibility, that is Kartavya. Stories like that of Ekalavya remind us of the extraordinary dedication such trust could inspire. Most importantly, education was seen as transformation, not information. Chandakya did not just produce a strategist, he nurtured a leader who transformed history. Now, looking at some of the philosophical foundation, the word acharya comes from acharati, that is one who practices, and acharya embodies the knowledge and leaves it teaching by example. The word shishya comes from shiksha, to learn with humility. The student openness and respect are what makes the bond work. This is beautifully seen in the Bhagavad Gita, where Arjuna turns to Krishna in moral confusion. Krishna does not simply give him knowledge, that is jnana, but clarity of judgment, that is viveka. The Manusmriti adds that teachers must be morally upright and students respectful and disciplined. Together, this ensured balance, trust, and ethical transmission of knowledge. So, going to the some of the pedagogical features, in practice, this relationship shaped pedagogy in four different ways. Number one is personalized learning, where every student's swabhava was respected and lessons adopted accordingly. Then there was a dialogic learning, where gurus welcomed debate and questions. much like today's inquiry based methods. Third is seva and discipline. So, daily activities build humility and respect for labor. And the last is the holistic curriculum. Astronomy, logic, medicine, music, ethics, and spirituality were taught together. This was a student centered, experiential, and holistic model centuries before modern pedagogy discovered it. Now, looking at some of the classical examples, the tradition comes alive in many historical examples. Number one was Dronacharya Arjuna, where discipline and there was a discipline and relentless practice. Yajnavalkya and Maitri, where there was inquiry and equality, with Maitri asking profound questions. Then coming back to Basavannas and the Sharanas, where the core learning was there in a democratic community. Then there was another example of Shishunala Sharif, where teaching that transcended religion, emphasizing humanity. Then what is the relevance? The relevance in modern education. Students, number one is student stress, burnout, need for mentorship. So, the mentors who listen with empathy can restore confidence and save lives. Second is ethics in technology driven world. Tech without ethics. In a world of AI and social media, mentors are moral guidance for students, emotional plus spiritual support for learners. So, beyond curriculum, students need emotional and spiritual growth, not just marks. So, service learning projects can revive the spirit of seva. Then, the lifelong teacher and the student bond. So, bonds extend beyond graduation, guiding careers and values. Next, we also have this NEP 2020, which directly aligns through holistic, multidisciplinary, and value based focus. Respect in the digital age. Technology can provide information, but only teachers can impart wisdom and empathy. Then, looking at some of the global parallels, this bond is not just unique in India, it is also availing in other countries. For example, Socrates in Greece taught through probing questions. Japanese sensei shishya bonds emphasize discipline and lifelong respect. African rods transmitted wisdom through storytelling. So the common thread is respect and wisdom. But the Indian model stands out for its integration of spirituality and personal transformation. So let's look at some of the comparative analysis. So if you look at this particular graph, it's a comparative analysis of global mentorship philosophies. Comparing global traditions, India balances personalization, spirituality, and dialogue. Japan emphasizes discipline. Africa emphasizes storytelling and cultural wisdom. And Greece emphasizes reasoning through dialogue. So, if you look at this particular graph, you can see the first column is for India, second is Japan, third is Africa, and fourth is Greece. So on my vertical line, there is an emphasis level where if you look at the first part, that is the Indian culture, it balances all the three, that is personalization, spirituality, and dialogue. Then there is the Indian model is the most holistic and integrative. Now, if you look at some of these survey data, evidence supports this institutions with structured mentorship. Now, if you look at the first one, parameter institution with UHV mentorship, institution without UHV mentorship, student satisfaction is 78% in institutions with UHV mentorship, 48% without mentorship. Then retention is 85% retention is there in institutions where there is universal human values, 65% without mentorship. Discipline issues. So discipline issues are just 2%, means not much of disciplinary measures are incorporated in an institution where there is universal human values mentorship. So 7% in institutions without mentorship, that is lot of disciplinary guidelines should be incorporated in institutions which lack universal human values mentorships. Now, looking at some of the comparative philosophies, uh, comparing Indian, Western, and East Asian countries. So, the previous graph clearly tells mentorship is not just a cultural idealism, and it's a measurable impact. Wherever the institutions are practicing universal human values, there the disciplinary measures are found to be very good. Now, coming back to comparative philosophies, tradition versus mentor student dynamics and central values. In India, there is a lifelong value driven spiritual concept. In Western countries, it is short term, goal oriented, and professional. And in East Asian countries, you can see the hierarchical respect, focus, and harmony. So, if you look at the first one, Indian, that is Acharya Shishya relationship, mentor student dynamics is lifelong, it is highly personal and value driven. In the Western countries, yes, it is goal oriented, outcome focused, but it is short term. Whereas in East Asian countries, it is hierarchical, respect oriented, and collective. So the central values, if you look at in Acharya Shishya, it is dharma, humility, ethical formation. Western countries, it is seen as most of it is expertise transfer, autonomy, and performance. And in Asian countries, East Asian countries, it is self discipline, conformity, and group harmony. Now let us look at some of the implemented strategies. So before looking at implemented strategies, if you look at the previous comparative philosophies, each of these Indian, be it Western or East Asian, each has strengths, but the Indian model uniquely integrates ethics and spirituality with knowledge. So implementation strategies, examples already exist, that is mentorship cells maybe in institutions like IITs and Oxford tutorial systems, UHB workshops by All India Council of Technical Education for faculty. So most of the colleges are going through this. I have also gone through 4 certifications of universal human values. So AICT has been doing tremendous work in incorporating universal human values for students, faculties, and thereby it is carried forward to even students in the form of induction program and also through one credit course in the 4th semester. Cross-disciplinary integration at institutions like IIT, Gandhinagar, and IIMs, and alumni mentorship networks, IIT Bombay, Harvard, BIS Pilani, etc., and many more. This is not utopian; it's a practical and happening in pockets. Now, challenges, yes, of course, challenges. There are many challenges. Number one is overworked faculty and exam-driven system, digital distractions, reducing attention and depth. Then skepticism that this model is old-fashioned. So many of us treat this model as old-fashioned, but it is not true because we have to incorporate lot of strengths and benefits from the old model and incorporate into our technology or the day-to-day education system, thereby having a very good Acharya Shishya relationship. These do not make it impossible, but they remind us that we must adopt, not copy. So some of the recommendations, it makes it very real. Institution policies plus credits for mentorship. Institution policies that count mentorship in faculty workload, smaller mentor groups and dedicated time, awards and recognitions for good mentors, and blending tradition with technology like IIT Bombay Alumni Portal. This is not just a policy to reform, it is a cultural shift. Now, coming back to the conclusion, the Acharya Shishya relationship is not just a history, it's a timeless blueprint for education that shapes the head, the heart, and the spirit. Now, I conclude with a Sanskrit shloka, that is, knowledge gives humility. Knowledge gives humility. So, the NEP 2020 calls us to revive this wisdom in modern frameworks across the world. We see mentorship traditions, but India's uniqueness lies in its integration of ethics, personalization, and spirituality. So let me end with a Sanskrit shloka, Vidya Daddati Vinayam. That means true knowledge imparts humility. This is the ultimate goal of education, not arrogance, not mere degrees, but wisdom, humility, and service. If we revive even a fraction of the spirit, we will not only create skilled professionals but enlightened human beings. Thank you. Thank you.